Okay. Um, Thanks for joining me this morning, y'all. I know we've had for some of you who pay attention, we've had a couple of Zooms that we had scheduled having to do with the comp plan, but they were making so many changes and they want to get it right for us. So we had to reschedule those. And I'll talk about that at the end of this Zoom. But I am so grateful that this one was not canceled because I really love to learn from Lauren. Lauren, you're there, right?
I'm here.
Okay, good. So, so you guys, I have to start, Lauren, by first talking about how it was interesting. Um, when we first started doTERRA, well, when doTERRA first started, what, 17 years ago now? Is it 17? Dang.
Yeah.
Anyway, I remember that on the corporate side, it was mostly Dr. Hill that did all the educating, and I felt so sorry for him because he was so, he was spread thin to the core. And of course, a lot of the wellness advocates, we started learning more and started educating and stuff. But I think it's so great that corporate now has so many amazing educators, you being one of them. So thank you for, taking the time to be with us today. You guys, I don't want to start without giving Lauren a proper introduction. So I asked her for her bio. So let me share with you, for those of you who don't know Lauren. Lauren is an RN and an FDNP, which if you don't know what that is, it's a functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner. And her title at doTERRA right now is Director of Product Education. In this current role, she works closely with multiple teams, developing educational content for wellness advocates and provides much needed insight for all of us. Prior to joining doTERRA, Lauren worked in the medical industry as a medical intensive care step-down registered nurse. She has worked in the wellness space for over a decade. The title she loves most is mom. She is a mother of 9, and I think I've asked you this before. You had all of them singularly.
Yep.
Amazing.
Multiples, no multiples.
Oh my gosh. But so part of her getting into the kind of the natural solutions is Lauren found the need to look outside of traditional medicine when she had a health crisis with one of her daughters. So that created her commitment to help others find natural solutions. And as she continues to help all of us grow, we are grateful to have her here today. And that's why we're all drawn to doTERRA, because we're all, that's why we're in this space, is because we are all drawn to natural solutions. And so I always get emotional, but I won't this time. But I am so grateful for doTERRA. I stepped away for a few months because I was serving a mission for our church, and it's so great to be back. I remember when I was gone, everyone was telling me about all the new products. And so really, the first time I sat down and really listened to them was at the Founders Retreat a couple of weeks ago. And Lauren, I loved your presentation. I turned to Karina, I turned to Amy, and I said, we need to have Lauren too. And they were like, yes, let's have her do a Zoom. So without any further ado, you guys, Lauren Busch.
Awesome. I am beyond honored to be here. I just sent the request over to do some screen sharing with you guys. I have a tendency to talk fast, but the call is being recorded, and I was also asked to cover a large amount of information. So I think my skill for fast talking is going to come in handy here. And please don't panic since there's a recording. Go back and watch it. More important that you guys get all of the information, and just know that even more resources and content is coming, and hope to see you, as many of you as possible, at leadership. So, all right, let me get my screen shared with you. Okay. So I had 2 asks. One was, can we go into foundational wellness? And then also, can we talk a little bit about hormones? And the 2 go hand in hand, but I think that we need to set up the conversation a little bit. When we start talking about foundational wellness, I think that the risk is that it seems basic. We're going to talk nutrition digestion with people, and we've had this conversation before, and of course everybody needs to start there because we know there's too much fast food restaurants around us, but also nobody wants to hear that they need to eat healthier, and vitamins might be a boring conversation or a hard conversation, or I don't know enough to tell people about why they need to start here. And so I just want to tell you that even when we go into hormone health, doesn't matter if we're going into how to sleep better, deal with stress, cellular health, digestive health, seasonal threats, it doesn't matter what the topic is, you always start with foundational wellness. For one, you're setting your business up for success because that's how you build a healthy business. For two, you're setting your customers up for success because that's how the body actually works. So we love using essential oils. I think that probably on a weekly basis at our household, I throw out at least, I'm heavy-handed, I admit it, 3 to 5 empty bottles of oil a week. Like I'm always
Wow.
diffusing. My kids use them. We incorporate them into everything. I've shared the joke before, but when the kids don't want to go to bed, I married a Catholic. We start christening the bed. We're like, no, you will sleep. Oils everywhere, all over the place, right? So we go through a lot of them. But what is that actual impact on the body? And that is that our cells are directed through chemistry, and the chemistry that we get to use as our hack is essential oils. They're sending very clear messages, but then the cells actually still have to do a function. It's getting the instructions, but then it actually has to do it after it's being told. And so I thought this was one of the greatest examples. We were all sitting together, and I guys, if you don't know Jared Auger, he is the best boss to have in the world, but also the passion that he has for you guys is phenomenal. He loves it. But we're sitting there together, right? And most of Jared's team is us, and we're, health nerds. And so he's sitting there, he's like, okay, you're talking over my head. How are we going to break this down? And we're like, going through everything, and finally he's like, okay, I have an example that everybody, no matter what, it's going to make sense, tell me if this is right. And he nailed it. And so picture somebody handed you a brand new Ferrari and the set of keys, but you get into that Ferrari and you go to put the keys in, but nobody filled the Ferrari up with gas. It doesn't matter how great the Ferrari is, it's not going anywhere because there's no gas in the tank. It doesn't matter how great the oils are if we can't have the basic needs met by the body to kind of turn those pathways on. Same thing happens reverse though. If I just load up the Ferrari with a full tank of gas and I never gave you the set of keys, the Ferrari's still not leaving the lot. So we need both. We need our oils, but we need the nutrients in the body so that when the cells are told what to do, they have all the utensils necessary to work and do the functions that we're instructing them to do. And what I love about the wellness pyramid, this isn't a new thing. We're saying foundational wellness. We've been saying it since, oh goodness, since we launched MetaPower, that the terminology has maybe been there, but really the foundations have been set since we had the wellness pyramid. We always start with nutrition and digestion. So I think sometimes we look at the wellness pyramid and we're like, look, this is all the ways that doTERRA can help you in your health. It is also an order of priorities. We shouldn't just automatically go to reduce toxicity and like, here, you're ready to do a cleanse when the body didn't have all the nutrients necessary to support the organs doing the functions that they're going to be asked to double up on when we ask our body to do a cleanse. So this is doing things in the right order, in the right way. And doTERRA has been setting the stage for a long time. I think you're also going to see that a lot of our messaging is getting cleaned up. I know for one, as a wellness advocate for a long time, it gets very overwhelming when we have so many different things that we could reach for. And so then you feel like, well, now I need to be an expert in everything. And so I'm going to spend all this time researching and reading, and on how am I possibly going to help everybody with anything they can need if I don't know everything about this. And of course, as a customer, you think, wow, there's so many things to choose from. I don't want to do it wrong. Maybe there's a better way I can do it. I don't want to waste my money. And do I need every single thing and every single day? And the answer is no. So how do we know what we need to set everybody up for success? And then what should we say are the basics in everyone's home? We still have, life still shows up. Chaos still reigns supreme at times. What do we need to have in our home to reach for when those moments happen? And then how do we personalize our health journey? So at its most simple, these are some of our top oils, top 13 oils. And yes, balance snuck in there because Dr. O said if I didn't put balance in there, he would be angry at me. So if you
I
count
love it.
right now, you're gonna be like, 14, Lauren, I see 14. It's 13 plus Dr. O's balance, or Dr. Hill's balance. It's on the slide, so I don't get on Dr. Hill's bad side. So here's the wellness pyramid kind of simplified. You're also going to hear some phrasing, and I don't want it to be look like it's conflicting phrasing. I want you to know how it kind of works together. So the overarching theme is, how do we make wellness simple? Last year, the eggs were bad for you. This year, eggs are back as a health food. Sometimes we say fat is bad, now fat's back in. Meat was bad, now meat's back in. Like, it gets confusing because we want to fight over all the messaging. And your customers, everybody ends up feeling that overwhelm. As a mom, what should I be reaching for? Oh, I'm doing something good for my kid. Oh no, that's actually bad for my kid. Oh, I didn't know. It gets very overwhelming. So how do we make it more simple? And that is starting with foundational wellness. I love that our supplements are powered by essential oils. We're taking up a notch. It's what sets doTERRA different. And then we have the ability to personalize. So again, step one is foundational wellness, and we'll go into a couple more things about these amazing products in a minute. Step two, you need to have your emergency on-hand oils for when life shows up.
Mhm.
And then three, we personalize. So if somebody comes to you or you're in this call and you're like, yeah, all sounds great, but I just need to sleep or I'm going to lose my mind. Yes, we still reach for our Serenity bundle. We still use our Serenity stick and our Serenity soft gels. But if you want to get the absolute most out of those products, you're going to start with foundational wellness, and then we add these what we call targeted solutions on top. If you want your body to manage stress much better, when you are stressed, so welcome to being human, when you're stressed, your body basically weeps out nutrients, especially magnesium. So recharge is a bestie here, but your body just lets go of your minerals. That is its reaction to stress. So if I give adaptive and my body is now getting instructions of what to be doing, and something as simple as magnesium is not there to do the functions that the oils are telling my body to do, I am not going to get as much out of my adaptive capsules. I'm still going to get all the aromatic benefits of adaptive oil, but if I want my adaptive capsules to do their job, I need the nutrients there for the instructions that are being set. And the same is true for any of these targeted solutions. Again, don't panic if you're like, I'm trying to take pictures. We are going to have so much support around these targeted solutions. It's not even funny. We're going to have whole web pages built out to why you start with foundational wellness, and then each of these individual bundles, they each get their own page, tons of support and education for you, for the customers, for everybody. So don't panic. It's all coming. So this is wellness made simple. We start with foundational wellness. We have our, I need to know that if life shows up, I have my oils on hand to be able to reach for it any moment. And then as called for, as life shows up and I need to personalize my own healthcare routine, we're going to reach for a targeted solution, which we have one for every aspect of the wellness pyramid. And as new products come, they're going to fall into there as well. So when we talk cellular health, I think this is one of those things that it seems so ethereal, like, cellular health, nobody cares. I just want to sleep, right? It's just the problem is the problem. But I want you to understand how the body works and why things have to be done in the right order. So we have molecules. Molecules make up cells. Cells make up tissues. Tissues make up organs. Organs make up organ systems. And then all of our organ systems make up the organism or the human body. So when our cells aren't healthy, our tissues aren't healthy. And if our tissues aren't healthy, the organ's not healthy. If the organ system's not healthy, the organism's not healthy. So we're literally going back to the root cause. Now, every time that you see those little gray arrows, that's cofactors. For things to advance down the line, we need vitamins and minerals to be able to do so. So if we're sending instructions to our, I don't know, our stomach and saying, calm the heck down. I don't know what you're doing today, but I need to be able to get through my day without feeling yucky. And we're using our oils, and we don't have our vitamins and minerals there for the cells to be able to do our job, we have a problem. I also like to use the IKEA example. Everybody who's ever bought, we have the IKEA trauma. I like to call it, if you purchase something big from IKEA, you know what I'm talking about. There's trauma left behind. You get this box full of 8 billion different pieces. If those instructions were down in that box, you couldn't have guessed how to put the thing together. I mean, it is in more pieces than I didn't even know a desk could ever go into, right? So the instructions make it possible to actually build the piece of furniture that comes from IKEA. The reverse is also true. If I get that box and the only thing is instructions, I'm not getting the desk either. I need both to be there. So to be able to have a healthy body, we have to go back to cellular health, and we need to have clear instructions, and we need to have the vitamins and minerals necessary for those cells to be able to do their function. So a really clear example. I love this example. Dr. Riggs uses it all the time. It's one of my favorite because the reason I had to come to doTERRA was I had a daughter with respiratory issues. And so Breathe is her best friend. However, Breathe can't do what iron does. It can't make up for it. It doesn't make more iron in the body. So breathe does great things for the respiratory system, but it cannot make up for what iron, if iron's not there. It can help open things up and expand and help me get more air in, but it will not replace iron. So hemoglobin, we need iron on our hemoglobin to be able to carry oxygen. And so if the iron is not there, we have a problem. One, we need that there for our hemoglobin to be able to deliver oxygen to tissues, but also to remove the toxin of carbon dioxide. If we don't have enough iron, we get all these wonderful symptoms of hypoxia, including feeling anxious. We feel like we can't breathe very well. So we might reach for the breathe oil, and we're opening things up. But again, that breathe oil does not contain iron, and it cannot replace what iron does. So having iron in the system when we reach for our breathe means that, hey, we open things up and we have enough iron there to carry the new oxygen that we're able to do because our respiratory system is clear and wide open. We also need things like omegas. So if you listen to any kind of health or wellness podcast or any conversations that are going on right now, one of the biggest conversations are around seed oils. And because seed oils are so inflammatory, they are, an omega-6 primarily. So they are inflammatory to the body. So it's not that fat is bad. Fats are good in the right ratios. And we want a 1-to-1 ratio. And right now we're about 16-to-1 with all the seed oils that are in our system and not enough omega-3s. So we need enough omega-3s to calm down inflammation in the body and help our body and our cells function properly. We also need them because they allow our cells to be more flexible. So I want you to think of like, imagine a train going down a track and all the little hinge points between the cars were soldered together. And now the train has to turn a corner. That train's not turning the corner. We need all of those hinge points for everything to turn. And so this is what omegas do, or for unsaturated fats, is they add these little hinge points so that our cells become pliable and they make up our cell membranes or cell walls.
I like your analogies, Lauren.
Yeah. I try. I'm very visual. If you can't know, like everybody's like, sometimes you talk and you start looking up into the corner. I'm like, oh, it's because I have pictures floating around inside my head and I'm trying to share them with everybody else.
I love it. It helps us, that the others of us who are visuals. So thank you.
Perfect. All right. So all these little kinky things over here, this is on your cell wall. We need this fluidity. We actually need the kinks. It's not a mess up. It's not something bad. It's actually something good. This is the hinge points on the train. This is so that as your cells as you move, so your joints move, as red blood cells, as they move through your circulatory system, they're pliable. They can fluid and they can move through. Our body needs movement. And so I want you to imagine, like, as we age and everybody becomes rickety and they become movement becomes very hard. This is what's happening when we eat a diet heavy in omega-6s, is everything becomes very compact and we lose that fluidity, we lose that ability to be able to move. So omega-3s are huge and very helpful for this. Omegas period in our diet. This is a beautiful rendition of the microbiome. So I know that I'm not the only one, but especially coming out of healthcare, it was sanitize everything. Like what can we spray? The amount of cleaners that we had to use to clean off our nursing stations in between anybody coming to it was just insane. Constantly. Bacteria and viruses, they're bad. Fungus, bad, right? So we spent generations of like trying to kill off something that is actually, we are more microbiome than we are human. And I think it's something like 100-to-1. We have more bacteria, viruses, and fungi than human cells. That's huge. And so now we're trying to sanitize and kill that off. But that's more, we have more DNA from them than we have our own DNA. So why is it there? And what we found is it's important for digestion. It actually helps educate your immune system. So a lot of different bacteria and viruses are telling your immune system like, hey, this is what you need to be prepared for, versus like it's a surprise attack. You breathe something in like, oh, I didn't know that was coming. Our microbiome can actually educate our immune system. It helps make vitamins that we cannot make on our own. Some of the vitamins that we take, even in our VMG or LLV, it actually converts them to their usable forms. So it's really necessary. And then it helps makes neurotransmitters. So those feel good chemicals, those happy chemicals, those rewarding chemicals that our brain is searching for every single day, our microbiome makes it. So my visual for this one is I want you to picture a beautiful mansion that has been left open and the front door unlocked. And then an announcement went out on the news. Hey, PS, there's a beautiful mansion up on the hill. Nobody lives there anymore, in case anybody wants to know. And that's basically what we do when we try to sanitize our body and we kill off all the good bacteria. A good round of antibiotics will kill off the good and the bad. So we've cleared the house. We've left the front door wide open. And the people that tend to go running for the available house with no lock on the front door to not be the good guys, right? So you've left the door wide open for all the bad guys to come in, settle in into a beautiful area. And then, you know, life is busy, so we didn't choose the healthiest of food. We ate a bunch of fast food. So not only did you leave the door wide open for the bad guys to come in, but you left a fully stocked kitchen. And they're thriving and they're doing really good. And then you're wondering, like, I don't even know how this happened. Well, you didn't lock the door. The house was open and the kitchen was stocked with food that those kind of people want to eat, right? Versus instead, if you have that beautiful mansion full of a big happy family that everyone's getting along and treating each other nice and there's no fighting going on, and somebody comes up to the front door, it's gonna be like, oh, I am definitely not welcome here. There's too many people that would see me if I tried to come in. And then to make sure that that big healthy happy family stays there, the kitchen needs to be stocked with fresh fruits and vegetables and protein and all the healthy things, right? So your body is the mansion. If you use the hand sanitizer, you've now killed the bad guys, but you've also killed off the microbiome that's on your skin that protects your skin from any invaders. So it's being more thoughtful of when we reach for things, when we are sanitizing, and then making sure that those who inhabit us have the right type of food and we're giving them instructions. I like to give a really good visual or example of this. Several years ago when I went back for studying, I did a GI mapping course, and one of the strains that we learned about was Akkermansia, which if anybody saw Halle Berry, she's talking all about it. But anyways, if you have the right environment, Akkermansia automatically thrives, which is why I'm obsessed with our PB Restore. So it's really great. But Akkermansia, when you don't have enough of it, your metabolic processes don't work. You end up gaining weight. They found a lot of downstream effects, but mostly metabolism. So Akkermansia is huge for supporting healthy metabolic health. In too much, you get MS. So the same bacteria that make sure that we have a really healthy, good firing metabolic process in excess causes MS. And so that is the balance that we're always fighting. What are we feeding on a daily basis with what we eat in our environment? What are we eliminating by things that we're using in our environment? And then what are we restoring? What are we putting back in so that everybody stays in the right amounts and nothing decides, well, you know, I'm the big brother who's taking over the house and I'm kicking out all the siblings, right? We want the entire family to be there and thriving. So that's why the diversity in PB Restore is so huge. It's if we just take one or we just take two strains in large amounts, you take something that was good and now there can be bad downstream effects. But instead, having multiple different strains in this variety is what ensures health. Diversity is the key to a healthy microbiome. For those who are like, I still don't totally understand the difference between PB Restore and PB Assist Plus. PB Restore is full body microbiome. This is for your skin. This is for your mouth. This is for your reproductive organs. This is for your digestive system, all the things. PB Assist Plus is specific to the digestive tract. So those who are like, but I really, really need digestive health, still add in PB Assist Plus. For those who are like full body, I've done things to my body. We all do. We're stressed. We eat the things we shouldn't be eating. PB Restore is an everyday.
Okay, wait, Lauren, I have a question real fast because I
Yes.
know people ask this all the time. When do you take your PB Restore?
Whenever you're going to remember to take it.
Okay.
If we sit here and we stress of like, here's the most perfect time or here's the most perfect combo, the amount of stress that you do to your body worrying about when you're going to take it, or the risk that, well, I was told I can't take it at nighttime, which is the only time I remember, is that you just don't take it at all. And so it's better to get in your system than not to be into your system. And it's better not to stress over it because what stress does to your body undoes a lot of the benefits that you're looking for from your supplements. So don't stress about it. It's whenever you're going to remember. The other thing is, for those of you who are wellness advocates, if you go to a customer and you tell them, here's the routine that you have to have, and you've got a busy mom who's got 4 different kids that they have to get out in the morning, and you've told her you have to take PB Restore and you have to take your Advantage and you have to take it all right now, or it won't help you as much if you take it in the afternoon, the risk is that mom is going to say, you don't know what my morning looks like. After my kids are out the door, I've gotten home, I've started a load of laundry, a load of dishes, and I've gotten a couple things done. That's when I'm going to have the time. You miss the chance that she's going to use her products. So is there probably an absolute perfect time of the day we can take? Yes, but stressing about it undoes the benefit that you would have gotten from figuring out that absolute perfect time of day. I would say that I get the logic. At the end of the day, after you have eaten dinner, right before you crawl in bed, your body should be resting. And when it is resting, it's not prioritizing digesting. And so if you take a probiotic at nighttime when everything has slowed down, you will get less benefit because we are not moving things all the way through the digestive tract. Will you get no benefit? No. But taking things on a time when you're supposed to be sleeping is just not ideal. But again, if the risk is that you wouldn't have remembered any other time of the day, and that's the time of day you remember, then take it then. It's whenever you're going to remember.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay, so just like I talked about the empty house, you need to make sure that when you're putting the probiotics in, loss of diversity, but then also we need to make sure the food's there for them because we want them to stay. So we have prebiotics in our capsule and we have postbiotics. And so what our postbiotics are metabolites for certain bacteria to be able to convert and make into other things. So neurotransmitters get made from our postbiotics. It's more bioavailable vitamins and then short chain fatty acids. And there's a couple on here that I hopefully, sorry, I got something in my eye, that at least look somewhat familiar, even if we don't know them really well. So serotonin, you know, we have our happy neurotransmitter. We have dopamine, which is our reward. Like, yeah, this is what social media also gives us in the wrong times. We need it. If we get dopamine other ways, we won't have the social media addictions, right? GABA, it's our calming one, right? And then something over here, these short chain fatty acids, I want to highlight those really quick. So butyrate, propionate, and acetate. And what these do is basically heal our digestive system. So not only are we bringing the good bacteria in that have lots of jobs, they need to be able to make our neurotransmitters, convert our vitamins to usable forms, but then they do amazing things for our colon cells, for our gut barrier, for gut motility, for brain health. Propionate specifically protects against neurodegenerative diseases. So who would have thought, again, here we go for mental health, right? Why are we still starting with foundational wellness? Because our PB Restore helps support the production of short chain fatty acids, which helps protect against neurodegenerative diseases. Energy metabolism reduces intra-abdominal fat, and then acetate, again, that gut barrier. So leaky gut is a trending topic. I don't know if you noticed, all 3 of these actually help with the healing of it. So now let's talk about, again, these targeted solutions. So if someone is just like, well, I'm just kind of interested in, and here's some things that I'm worried about for my family. We start with foundational wellness. We have those 13 plus Dr. Hill's balance oil in the house. We reach for our On Guard, we can start diffusing it. But if someone's like, dude, you don't know what it's like at my house, there's always things going on. Oh, I forgot the slides was snuck in here. When we reach for On Guard, we know all the great things that On Guard does for our immune system. But also we need omega-3s because this helps with the cell walls of our immune cells. We need vitamin C because it's an antioxidant that strengthens our immune cells. And yes, I see that immune is spelled incorrectly there. Vitamin D regulates immune response. Zinc helps produce immune cells. Vitamin A, normal function of immune cell. Vitamin E, microbiome helps stimulate immune cells. We need our vitamins and our minerals as well. And then here's the pathways. Again, you don't need to memorize this, and please don't bring this out in the middle of a class because a customer will be overwhelmed. We just want you to know that we do know the science and how things work. So here was a great research study on Guard. It exhibited significant effects on the levels of protein biomarkers that are critically involved in inflammation, immune modulation, and tissue remodeling process. The overall inhibitory effect of On Guard on these protein biomarkers suggests that it has anti-inflammatory and immune modulating properties. So these are the pathways that On Guard works on, but it requires vitamins and minerals to do the actions that it's influencing. So they have to go together. So Why we pair them? On guard. Somebody's like, I want to be healthy this fall. Great. Get the on guard in their home, but they also need their foundational wellness. And then if somebody needs to double down, like I can't miss another day of school. I'm a college kid and I can't miss another day of school. I'm a mom, and who can afford to have a down day when you're a mom? Great. We add in our targeted solutions. We can add additional support, but it never replaces starting with foundational wellness.
Mm.
So
Amen.
here is some great research on VMG, because it's always fun to be able to say what's the difference between VMG and competitors. So this was a human clinical trial. And what we found is, so a couple different things. VMG, so what we did was we tested the body's ability to absorb the calcium found in each of our competitors and in our own product. And
Mm.
it wasn't about who had more, it was about which had better absorption properties. So some of these, like this one right here, actually has a lot more on the label. But the difference is how much doTERRA is able to absorb versus how much this one's able to absorb. And Centrum Adult had no calcium, which is why it's at 0, because, a multivitamin with no calcium makes a lot of sense. But anyways, so this is just the comparison of the body's ability to be able to absorb it. So it's one thing to look on the label, and it's one thing to say, oh, look who has more. But once it actually gets into the body, can the body recognize it? Can the body use it? Can the body absorb it? Can the body convert it? There's a lot of other processes down the road that everyone needs to be aware of. And BMG, we had 100% absorption of our calcium. Here's another example. So this was of vitamin C. And this is the difference when we say that we add fats. It's like liposomal technology. So some people will describe it differently, but we add those lipo or little fat molecules in with ours. And what that does is it increases absorption, and it helps it retain in the blood. So this first spike that you see here, when it spikes up, this is absorbability. So how well does it come in and get into the body? And then if you notice here, it stays in the body longer. So this is like it came in, but then immediately the body was starting to clean it out, versus this purple line, we're actually able to keep it in the body longer. And so what that does is, the minute that we take a multivitamin, or the minute we take VMG, it's not that your body in that exact moment was ready for all the iron, all the vitamin C, all whatever it was. It's like not at that exact moment does it utilize it all. It needs to be in the blood so that 3 hours later, when your cell sends up a little signal, I could really use some vitamin C right now, it's still there to be able to utilize it. So that is bioretention is holding it. This is another one. So this is an example of vitamin E. And so we got to have a non-fat soluble vitamin with vitamin C, and then a fat soluble vitamin with vitamin E. And so again, here's the absorption. It absorbed more, but then here's bioretention, and look how much it dipped off for not using the little lipo groups. So we need it to stay in the blood. So when your body and your cells call for it, it's there. And then here's another example for iron. So iron's one that most people struggle with absorption. Most people who've ever taken an iron supplement can know that it is a highly unpleasant experience. It can make you constipated. It can make you nauseous. It's really hard on the stomach. So have something that it absorbs this well is huge. All the ladies out there who are still menstruating, this is your bestie. So not only does it absorb better, but it retained. And I love when Dr. O admits he didn't think it would stay bioavailable after 8 hours. So the study only went out to 8 hours, and now he says he's got to redo the study because he would like to know how long it stays available in the blood. But this is just huge. So again, absorbed better, stayed there, and available longer throughout the day as your cells call for it.
Mm.
Here's a quick clinical trial that we did on our E-omegas. So one of the things that we found with E-omegas, and the cool thing about this was, I think this is, make sure that this is the piece that you hold on to, is that when we did this clinical trial, we did just our omegas, and then we did our omegas plus the wild orange oil for the limonene content. And the difference was, omegas are already known to do this on their own, and they did. But what made it statistically significant was our limonene content. So when we compare our omegas to a lot of other omegas on the market, do we have a really great omega? We do. There are other companies out there that have great omegas, but none of them have wild orange oil in it, and none of them have it at a clinical dose, and none of them can make these claims because of it being specific to our wild orange oil. So it says decreased diastolic blood pressure. So basically what this is I imagine blowing up a balloon. And as you're breathing out is your systolic. So that's like you're pushing things in, and your diastolic is the relaxing of the in-between pumps. So not while your heart just squeezed all the blood through the tube, or not while you just went, it's the break in between. And so everything should kind of rest down and relax. And so that pressure has relaxed even more. I do want to say that I've had many people come up to me at events. Well, I already have a low blood pressure. Is this going to make it worse? No, that's not how this works. This is relaxing things that were overly tense. This is not taking someone who is already doing a great job relaxing in between heartbeats and making it more floppy. This is restoring the body to do what it's supposed to do. So no worries about that. And then also decreasing the resting heart rate. So this actually calmed the body down on a cellular level, that your body was like, I can be more efficient with every heartbeat, that I don't have to beat more times to compensate for circulation not happening or not moving. So remember we talked about in the beginning, this being in our cell walls, and when we have a good healthy omega-3 levels, everything is pliable and everything can move through. This is the impact that it has on our circulatory system. It's on all cells, but this one specific to our circulatory system. Your heart is doing a more efficient job at pumping blood through the system, that it doesn't have to beat as many times. So that's amazing. Now, specific to resting heart rate, because obviously when you exercise, we want our heart rate to pick up and to become more efficient. This was also a great study just to show that yes, when people take their omega-3s when we tested how much is in their cell walls, yes, everybody improved on their omega-3 levels. So that was great. This was a study on PB Restore, and I think you guys are going to get a lot more of this. The rest of this study specific in leadership, but I did want to share this one piece, and that is when people started taking PB Restore, what was their quality of life questionnaire for specific to digestive health? So great decrease in a lot of problems. So people who avoided physical activity because of digestive health decreased, right? People whose appetite, a usual appetite charged, now it actually decreased. Inconvenience by physical discomfort, that was a decrease. Avoided certain foods, they were able to enjoy foods that they wanted to have. So a lot of people that were, all these blue bars are different measurements of different problems or struggles that people were experiencing, and they had a decrease overall for all of those problems just by adding PB Restore. So there's a lot more science versus just the questionnaire, but I did want to show just quality of life improvement from taking something from PB Restore. Oh, and of course the title slide's there. Okay, so now I want to get into hormone health, and this is something that I'm incredibly passionate about. Sorry, there's the string underneath my shirt, it's itching me. Something I'm incredibly passionate about. So how does foundational wellness apply to hormone health? And I love this quote from Leonardo da Vinci. I don't know about you, Gina, but I grew up in the doTERRA era where when certain people taught, you really wanted to be at their classes because they always had this unique take or insight on products that you just couldn't get anywhere else. And it was so fun to like have access, like, oh, that's a great way. I didn't know I could use the oil in that way, or I didn't know the oil worked in this way. And it was a really, I'm a collector of information. I have input as number one. So I love that. But the complexity is that for any of you who are new, or any of you who have been around for a while, like us, and that you've seen people come and go, is that when you watch somebody who has collected a lot of really great information, and you see them present, you can never see yourself doing it, because you're like, I will never know as much as they know, or I can't go out and start helping people until I know as much as they know, because I don't want to mess something up. I don't want to hurt somebody. I don't want to not do the right thing. And we've made things more complex than necessary, feeling like we have to know so much to make impact versus just going back to the basics. And that's what foundational wellness is. That's what targeted solutions are, is that anybody, anywhere, no matter what your background is, no matter what your education level is, if you know how to start there, you can make massive impact on people's health and well-being without feeling like I've got 6 years of doTERRA studying to do before I can make that difference. So
Mhm.
how can we make it more simple? And we want our customers to do the same. I mean, it's really flattering when you get text messages at 1 a.m. Hey, my baby has this going on. What should I do? But I promise after 5 years of it, you're like, and I would like to start sleeping through the night. I'm glad I'm everybody's go-to and I feel special. But also, how much better would that mom feel if she didn't feel like she had to send a text message at 1 a.m. and she knew exactly what to do? So how do we empower our customers to feel more educated and more empowered in what they do? And
I
that is,
think that's,
go ahead.
you asked, Lauren, I just want to say
Yeah.
this. That's what's fun about doTERRA is you see these people coming in that are brand new and they're like, oh my gosh, you know so much. How am I ever going to learn like you? And to watch them and you teach
Yeah.
and send them, they go with you to convention, leadership, and all these other events that you have that where they can learn. But then to watch them learn and become even better than I have been. You know what I'm saying? That's
Yeah.
what's so great is being educated. But again, we don't have to complicate it. We don't have to know the full manual. We can share, and thankfully we have people like Lauren in this great recorded um Zoom now that we can even share. So thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, the goal is definitely not to diss education. Obviously, that's my job. So if I diss it, I lose my job. But I'm saying, how do we make it as simple as possible that everybody can feel like they can duplicate and that your customers feel like I know how to figure this out and I don't have to text Gina every morning at 1 a.m. when something's going on with the child and I forget. Like I know what to do and I know what to reach for. How do we empower people? Because that's the change. So this is the wellness lifestyle assessment. I've had some people come up to me and say, Lauren, it's so basic. And I am with you. It is so basic, but does it do the job? It's so easy for a customer to take this assessment and quickly identify their largest gap without you. Like we had, was it at Founders Retreat? Somebody
Mhm.
was like, well, I like to know, like, why do they have the digestive issues? Did they just take a bunch of antibiotics? Is it this? They have a food and you're like trying to figure, and I don't need to know why they're having the digestive issues. I just need to know they have the digestive issues
Yes.
and the targeted solution that goes for it, right? So it takes us out of a space of feeling like, oh, I've got to dig and I have to know everything to, even if I dug and I knew everything, I'm still going to come back to the same targeted solution no matter what. And it takes the pressure off of us as wellness advocates because the customer has identified the gap and they're coming to you and like, I mean, I knew I didn't sleep great, but I didn't realize I slept this bad. Do you have anything for sleep? And you're like, and yes, I do. And so the helping of them becomes a lot easier and a lot more efficient. Okay, just because every time I do these calls, in doTERRA, we just tend to be a lot more women because we like to love and like to nurture, and that does not mean that that is not a place for a man. So if any man is on this call and is like, "Oh no, I'm out. This isn't for me." No, this is for you as well. You're either married to a woman, you fathered a woman, you have a sister. If nothing else, you came from a mom, and so we're going to talk a little bit about women's hormones, but still you need to know it. And I think that when you question whether you're married to someone with multiple personality disorder, hopefully you'll understand what her hormones are doing. And this is just part of who we are. And I like to do a quick reminder too that as nurturers, you know, um, healers like to heal. And sometimes they forget that they also need their own healing. And so women on the call, the moms on the call, the grandmoms on the call, the mothers by proxy on the call, not caring for yourself, not caring for your own body, it makes it impossible for you to be able to help others in the way that you want. And I love this quote, rest and self-care are so important. When you take time to replenish your spirit, it allows you to serve others from the overflow. You cannot serve from an empty vessel.
Mhm.
It fills us up to be able to serve others, no doubt. But if your day is filled with helping team members rank advance and kids get through life and a spouse get through things, and you never give back, you will deprive them of the greatest resource imaginable, which is you. And you won't be there for the grandbabies. And when the kids are like, let's go for a run, you're like, and mom needs a 6 hour nap because I was up all night last night answering text messages from people who needed my help. And I grew up in the era where my mom was from that era of like self-care is selfish, and we have to rewrite that. And that's It's just so not true. There is no child alive that feels more loved by you as a mother because they see you ragged and run down and haven't showered in 3 days. They're not like, well, now I know my mom loves me because she put herself so last and me first. That's not it. And we have been lied to. That's not it. Now, if you spend every single day at the week at the spa, I'm sure your kid's not going to feel loved either. But when you can show up in your most ultimate filled up cup form and you find that you have more patience and you have the energy to show up for them and you have the wisdom and the knowledge and the resources to show up, that's when love comes from an overflow. There's so many pictures out there. When I was looking for this quote, there's always images that come up, and one was like of a mother. She had like angel wings, except for she's like yanking out her own feathers to give to the child. I'm like, and that's not it. Like, we don't have to strip our own body of its goodness to be able to give the. Would we? Yes. Yes, we would. But we don't have to do it that way. And so that is the beauty of doTERRA, is that you get to care for your own body. And as you do, as you're caring for yourself physically, you get to show up and share with other people. Here's what I'm doing. Here's what's working for me. That is more powerful than you running yourself down and telling everybody else what to do. And eventually they're going to turn around and look at you and be like, you're telling me this Serenity sleep system works really good, but you look like you haven't slept in 2 weeks. Like, maybe you need to try your own Serenity sleep system, right? Like, we want to show up empowered, not deprived. So let's talk a little bit about hormones. And Gina, if I end up going too long, you just tell me to stop talking and I will.
Oh, you keep going, girl. We'll be here all day if we need to.
Okay. So this is the roller coaster ride of being a female. So I think most of us are aware now, maybe we didn't realize it as we're heading into puberty, of the roller coaster ride that is puberty. But if you compare it to the roller coaster ride of perimenopause, that was definitely the warm-up ride. So for those of you who are about 40 years old, and those of you who are just past this and you're like, oh yeah, I felt this. I had no idea this is what that was the roller coaster ride of perimenopause. And we're not warned for it. And might I dare say that this is actually not normal. This is common. This is where we've gotten to, where puberty and perimenopause are complete chaos. It's common, but it's not actually what it was intended to be. And it is because of the lifestyles that we lead, where we are nutrient deficient. We deal with far more stress than the female body is intended to have to endure. Our lifestyles are crazy. Chemicals in the air, in our sheets, in the food that we eat, it's everywhere, and we can't get away from it. So for comparison, we like to compare men's hormone cycles to the sun. It rises and falls every single day. And that's just how it is for a man. Pretty easy, pretty basic. Ladies, we are 4 different people in a month. It depends on which hormone is in charge. And actually, this chart only shows 2. It's estrogen and progesterone. Actually, there's many hormones that rule our world. And so when I was making the joke about multiple personality disorder, we are 4 different people in a month, because we have different hormones that have different needs and create a different set of values of what's important to us. There are times of the month when we want to have difficult conversations, and times of the month where we might end our relationship with a child if we try to have those same difficult conversations, because we are just not as pleasant or nurturing. So most people know the week that you are PMS is probably not the time to go to a coworker or a team member and be like, about your rank, you're killing me. I depended on like,
Yeah.
probably not the time to have that conversation, right? So this is it, and this is normal. So we're actually have different needs throughout the month, different foods that we should be eating, different things in our business that we should be focusing on, depending on which hormone is reigning supreme. This is your hormone cascade. And I usually tell people, like, you don't need to memorize it. I don't want you to memorize it, but I want you to understand it, because this is really important. For one, again, I'm 41 years old. So my childhood was the era of where everything was fat-free, because fat made you fat, when actually it's sugar that makes you fat, and fat is actually necessary. All of your sex hormones are made from cholesterol. So if we don't eat fat, we don't have our sex hormones. If we take a cholesterol lowering medication, guess what it also lowers? Progesterone, testosterone, and your estrogen. I hate cholesterol lowering medication. So if you don't have enough fat in your diet, which should be a good amount, again, butter is actually not bad for you. If you don't have enough fat, you can't make your sex hormones. And then each of these little arrows requires an enzyme for the conversion to take process. So this is why we love Terrazyme so much. Does Terrazyme do these? No. But if you give your body all it needs to be able to do the digestive enzyme process, then all of the other pieces that would have made up those digestive enzymes can be used for enzymes in other processes in the body. So focusing on this enzyme action. Yeah. So there's two main funnels that things go down. So cholesterol converts to your master hormone, which is pregnenolone, and then it can either come down this way, which is your progesterone cascade, or it can come down this way. If you follow progesterone down, you see here in blue, cortisol. Now, cortisol gets a really bad rap. Everybody's like, I want to lower my cholesterol levels. Did you know if you don't have enough cortisol, you don't wake up in the morning? So cortisol is actually not the bad guy. The problem is that we rely on cortisol too much. So for those of you who are listening to the call and you're like, I can't wake up in the morning. Somebody has to kick me out of bed. I feel like I haven't slept all night. Like I am completely exhausted when I wake up. Your cortisol didn't spike. And so it means that your cortisol's body's worn out. It's not producing enough. And either we don't have enough precursors or we've pumped it out for so long that your adrenals are like, she didn't listen anyways. So what do I need to make this for? So that's one. But two, when it comes down here and your progesterone is converted to cortisol, there's only so much to work with. And so when you are stressed, your body goes, progesterone's not necessary because progesterone really drives fertility. And even those of you who are not trying to get pregnant, we still need healthy fertility because it's a healthy female, even if we're not trying to get pregnant. But your body says, oh, the cougar's at the front door. She might get murdered. Please don't let her get pregnant. We don't want to do that right now. So it stops having progesterone and instead converts all necessary resources over to cortisol. And what should happen on a daily basis is your cortisol should look like a really steep ski slope. It should spike in the morning and drop off all day long until it's really low so you can fall asleep at nighttime. You sleep really well and then it rises as you sleep until it wakes you up in the morning. But the problem is if the morning starts off with cortisol is where it's meant to be, and then we drink 2 cups of coffee on an empty stomach, and then we have to get 3 kids out the door for school, and then we had to drive in traffic, and then, oh yeah, we had a team call that we forgot about, and I got to rush back and do that, and then I had to have that critical conversation with a leader who says that they don't know if they want to do the business anymore, but they're my qualifying leg, and then, oh yeah, my husband called and he just got laid off, and oh yeah, there's bills to pay this afternoon, and I didn't go grocery shopping, and there's no food in the kitchen, and I got to rush to the grocery store. How'd the kids get home before I did? Who has time to make the dinner? All the things. Then the cortisol was all day long like this, and which means progesterone never got a chance, and cortisol is telling your body it's a survival mode. And the problem is we laugh, but that's every day. We're doing that over and over and over again, and then we're wondering, I don't understand why I'm gaining weight around the middle. So it's not actually that we want cortisol to go away. We want it to be there at the right times in the right amounts when the actual emergencies show up, and not that every day is a living, breathing emergency. And so the more that we demand of cortisol, this funnel never even gets touched. Everything goes over here. This is true for men or for women. So men who have low testosterone, you're like, and now I know what's happening. Yes, this is what's happening. We never even got over to this funnel because all day long we were telling the body cortisol needed to get made. Ladies who are having fertility issues, hey, this guy can't even show up because everything is being converted over to cortisol, and it's never comes back down here to make your E1. Then here's your other funnel. And so it goes pregnenolone. DHEA is a big one. I usually see people test really low for this. That should convert to testosterone, and then it should convert to estradiol. And something funny happens right here in this conversion process. So the enzyme is called aromatase. For men, if men have belly fat, this conversion happens rapidly. So their testosterone gets converted to estrogen or estradiol, and then somebody wants to put them on an estrogen blocker when really we needed to concentrate on that belly fat and work on that. Ladies, we get the opposite effect. When we eat a lot of carbohydrates, we stay here and this conversion doesn't really happen. And then we end up with things like PCOS because our body is getting a lot more messaging that we need testosterone, and it doesn't actually do this conversion to estradiol. And if I could relabel this arrow right here, I would relabel it spearmint, ladies. That would be a great one to pop in right there if that's a place where you are struggling and things feel stuck. But every single one of these conversions need to happen, and we need enough fat to feed both funnels and no one hormone hijacking the production of the rest. And so this is the balancing act that our bodies have to work every single day. So every time you get stressed and your emotions get chaotic, everything here gets hijacked to come over here and produce cortisol. And again, and then some people are like, well, how do I get it when I'm not producing enough of it anymore? And I have adrenal fatigue and I'm the person that you have to kick out of the bed or I'll never get up in the morning. Until your body gets the opportunity to be told that all day long it's not an emergency and it's okay to spike in the morning because there will be enough all day long, that won't reverse. So it takes sleep and it takes relaxation and it takes nurturing and caring for yourself. So I think it's really fun when we look at our hormones. They seem so like I don't know. I don't get them. So I wanted to apply a personality. And if I had more time with you, I would actually probably give you all the toxic personalities of your hormones. But here's what I want you to picture who
That's
progesterone
awesome.
is. So progesterone is like the caring friend who always looks out for others. She exudes warmth and support, often stepping into a protective motherly role. She is the one who makes sure everyone feels safe and understood, quietly working behind the scenes to maintain balance in the group. And so what you'll see is all of these qualities, somebody who is low in progesterone, they don't tend to have these qualities. Or if somebody is super high in progesterone, which is not as often that I would see, or progesterone can't even exist if she also doesn't feel warmth and support. If your body does not feel supported, protected, nurtured, your body will not feel safe enough to produce progesterone. So sometimes that kind of helps to say, hey, maybe I'm not getting enough or I don't have enough. These are something that I would actually say take a screenshot of. So what I usually tell women to do is, I could run labs on people and I could talk to a woman where she has every single symptom of low progesterone, and yet her progesterone is in the middle of what's considered an acceptable range for progesterone. And so for that woman specifically, that amount of progesterone is not enough. And I could talk to somebody else who might be slightly on the lower end and have no symptoms. And so it is very important that when you work with your provider and you're focusing and prioritizing for you personally, one, you need to know which hormone's out of whack so you can make some different lifestyle choices. But two, you need to know, but for me, I need more, or but for me, this is good. I feel really happy here. It's very important that we realize that we're individuals and that you can't tell everybody. Like somebody will ask me like, well, what is the perfect range? Everybody's different. The perfect range for you is when you no longer have symptoms. And so knowing what the symptoms are is really important. So these are the symptoms of high and low progesterone. And so again, if any men are on the call or any husbands go back and watch this recording, I would like you to look at this list and realize that when your wife, was feeling this, if you were feeling two, three, or all of these, would you be a very pleasant person either and give her a little bit of grace while she's working on getting her
Be a
hormones?
little bit more understanding.
Yeah, yeah. It doesn't feel good when these are happening, and you don't have to worry about all these problems, just women. Estrogen, she has an empowering quality that motivates and uplifts. She advocates for self-confidence, independence, and growth, traits that inspire others to embrace their uniqueness and pursue their ambitions. She is not about energy, but empowering others to find their voice. And so this is the beauty that estrogen brings. What the problem is that most of us end up falling into estrogen dominance because we end up not having enough progesterone. And even if our estrogen levels aren't too high, our body perceives it as too high when our progesterone is low. And so we come across as maybe abrasive and overly confident and overly independent. I don't need you. I'm going to hit this rank anyways, whether you decide to do this without me or not. I can do it. It's all about me, me, me. And so that's what ends up happening with estrogen in a too much level. But if you don't have enough of it and you're like, oh, I miss my self-confidence, I miss my independence, I want to inspire others, possibility that estrogen is running a little bit low. So estrogen's even more fun. So again, this list gets a lot longer, but there's a couple here that I really want to point out. There's some that we would expect, okay? Gaining some weight, maybe we expect that hot flashes, mood swings, but also frequent UTIs, itchy ears,
Mm.
depression, thinning skin. So migraines, I talk to a lot more women that will have the itchy ears, headaches, and frequent UTIs and don't realize that has anything to do with estrogen at all. And then they're just, course after course of antibiotics. And I'm like, and it's an estrogen issue. So if you notice any of these, hey, you might have not enough estrogen going on. And it's estrogen's no fun in its high form either. And again, for ladies, when you go work with your provider, the most important thing to know is you might have all of these symptoms of high estrogen and then get your blood work back and find out, oh but my estrogen's not high. But if it's in a healthier range and your progesterone's all the way into trash, then you get the beauty of having symptoms from both sides because you really don't have enough estrogen, but it's high compared to how much progesterone you have left. And then here's testosterone. She values her independence and trusts her instincts. With a sharp mind and an innovative approach to problem solving, she confidently makes decisions that reflect her personal values and goals, even if they go against the grain. Women, we need our testosterone. It is incredibly important, and it definitely has neuroprotective impacts for the brain. Brain fog is one of the #1 symptoms of a woman having low testosterone. The medical establishment will tell you it's low libido, and I will tell you it is brain fog. Brain fog first. Who cares about libido if we can't even think straight and we're losing our words and can't speak clearly, right? So here's some symptoms of high and low. And again, I want to hit these two because they are on every single list: depression and
Yeah.
anxiety for low hormones. Just some statistics of how important it is that you take this serious for your own sake, for the health of your family, for the health of your team, your business, for all the reasons. Women in perimenopause and menopause, that is the highest risk of us committing suicide. It is the highest rate of women asking for divorce. And so we don't look at hormones and give them the value that they deserve. And then we pop in other medications well, I got diagnosed with depression and anxiety. But why? Why do we have it? So let's actually fix the problem and not just tell you to be numb. It's not like there might be a place where medication needs to come in and intervene, but we're not going back to the root cause, and your body is asking for something. And I am just a firm believer, ladies, that we're losing them far too early, and it's depriving us of a high quality of life. And then quick reminder, high blood sugar drives high testosterone levels in women. So when you're dealing with women that have a lot of the symptoms of high testosterone, our MetaPower system is one of those primary places that we should start. Okay, so I don't know if we have a chat box. Is that right? Can I have a chat? Okay,
And
great.
there were a couple of questions.
Okay, so in the chat box, real quick though, if I were to ask you right now, after everything we just went through, where would the #1 place you would start if you had someone come to you and they're telling you they have problems with their hormones? What is the #1 thing that you would start with? Oh, yay. Yes, yes.
No
3
wins.
right answers. I just did this at the incentive retreat and nobody said that after everything. And I was like,
Really?
wait a minute. The whole point was foundational wellness. Yes, to MetaPower. Yes, blood sugar. Yes, yes, yes. But first, before anything else, foundational wellness. So definitely a place to start. Yep. Yeah. Okay. I just wanted to see if it all sunk in. It did. We did a better job today than we did at the incentive trip. Okay, and then you sent me a couple questions. Do you want me to address those questions real quick?
Yes.
Fiber is not going away. If it's unavailable right now, it's just a stock out. It's here. It's not going anywhere. The correct way to use fiber, whenever you're going to remember to use it. There's a lot of conversations around fiber being a binder, and it is a binder, but it's not a binder in the same way that charcoal or bentonite clay or something like that is. So what most binders do is they just absorb things and then sweep them and move them out. That's how most binders work. Fiber doesn't function in the same way. It doesn't bind to all your vitamins and minerals. Is it a binder in a sense that it can absorb water and does hold and does help sweep things and move things through your digestive tract. So you can take our fiber when you take your supplements. It will not interfere with those. For ladies who are dealing with hormone issues, the very best way to use fiber is when you take your BMG. So throw fiber in with your BMG because it will not bind to the vitamins in your BMG. You can take both at the same time. It tastes great together. And again, the more things that we can pile in and do it one time, the more likely we are to remember to take them. I think that was all on the fiber.
Mhm.
That's yeah, it'll be back. It's not going anywhere. whenever you remember, take it. My favorite way to use it, I take it actually twice a day because I am prone to estrogen dominance. And so I like taking it with my VMG in the morning, and then at nighttime, I take it in hot-ish water. I can drink it fine. It doesn't like burn my lips because that will actually break down some of the lemon oil in it. So hot-ish. And I like to add in a drop of ginger into it, and I like to add coconut cream into it. And what that does is that balances your blood sugar while you sleep at nighttime so that you sleep better. So that's my favorite way to take it.
Interesting. Someone asked about the phytoestrogens. That we really don't hear about that as much, the phytoestrogens. Will you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so phytoestrogens are the way that they work is they clean out xenoestrogens. So if you're working with somebody that deals with it's around a lot of fragrance, a lot of plastics, a lot of like chemicals, and they're not eliminating those from their lives, or they're just now making the transition or the switch and they're getting the Glade plugins out of the house and switching over to diffusing oils. I think phytoestrogens are great for men and women to clean that out. I am excited for the day that we have a more extensive women's hormone health line. And I don't
Mm,
think it will include phytoestrogens. There's a lot of great research for cleaning out the xenoestrogens. But I would tell you that I would say that if it was me, I would be doubling down on my recharge and my VMG
mm,
for the biggest impact, and fiber for the biggest impact on hormone health
great
and
question.
bone health.
Okay. Someone asked if you wouldn't mind typing. I guess we could.
Yep.
Your
Yep.
the recipe for your yes. And then just lastly, would you talk about omegas? Like when the best and how? Like that's been a question that I've been given and I know others have. When's the best time to take omegas? And do you bite into them or do you swallow them or both or what?
Best time to take omegas is whenever you're going to remember to take them. We did have somebody ask at Founders. They said they heard that if you take omegas with other vitamins, it blocks the absorb. It doesn't do anything. Omegas help with absorption. Not they don't block it. I would say that some people, their digestive system moves slower. It's more sluggish than it should be, and they get a little more feedback, like burping up of omegas, and so that's why I think that they believe that it's blocking absorption. Again, our Terrazymes have lipase in them, so adding in some Terrazyme to break down that fat is very super helpful. But the best time to take them is whenever you remember to take them. It doesn't matter whether you bite or you swallow them. Either way, completely fine. The biggest thing with biting them, the reason that we mentioned it so often is there's a lot of people that cannot swallow that size capsule, including children, and omegas are so important for kids. So being able to bite the capsule doesn't add any other value other than it expands the number of people that are able to take them.
Okay. So either morning, night, or yeah.
It doesn't matter. And again, there's some people will mention research. You there's always you got to take everything with a grain of salt. And again, the more complication we add of when to take things or what, the stress alone will block any added benefit that you thought you were going to get of like, okay, this perfect time.
Mhm.
Second is that I would tell you, like, I think it was like 2006 is when we actually started including women into research. So most research out there is incredibly skewed anyways. It's not for our bodies. And so most research needs to get redone. So I always take research with a grain of salt, unless it's something that doTERRA is doing specific to our product, because then I know that we have the diversity necessary to say women, children, men, or women and men both. And then there's always um, there's always bioindividuality, meaning everyone's a little bit different. And so the best thing that we can possibly say is what works best for most people. And then if something is not working for your customer and they're saying that they're having a problem, then what are you going to do to change it? And I would say specifically, if they notice they get a lot of burping after they take an omega product, just adding in Terrazyme because it's got the enzyme necessary to help break the fat down. Their body is just having problems with digesting, but that doesn't mean it's not that it's causing any problems with anything else.
Okay. Awesome. Oh my gosh. Thank you so
Yeah.
much, Lauren. We have way surpassed the hour that we asked you to be here with us, but it was so much needed, especially for me. I learned so much, and I'm going to be listening again and taking notes this time, because this time I took pictures. Next time I'll be taking notes. But thank you so much for your knowledge. Is there anything like exciting that moving ahead and looking ahead in this next year that of products that we could look forward to, maybe?
Well, so I would definitely say if you're not already planning on coming in person, because not you, Gina, nothing replaces being in person at
Yeah.
leadership. If you're not, please, please, please purchase your online ticket for leadership. We are going to cover a ton of research around copaiba and frankincense that you are 100% definitely not going to want to miss. Just amazing, amazing information there. And then the whole goal of leadership is to make your business more simple and duplicatable than ever. So I would say that would be the priority for right now. And obviously in that, we're going to go more into some of the targeted solutions and the information and research around why we chose the targeted solutions we did. And the goal is always, what can we do to make things more simple? Are there going to be new products? Of course there are, but don't build your business just on new products. Build it on what is duplicatable, what is impactful, what can we depend on over and over and over again. And then everything else is like a bonus. It's fun.
Nice. Okay. All right, exciting. And thank you so much for having our back as women and men.
Yeah,
And thanks for all you do. And we look forward to seeing you at leadership.
of course. See you guys there.
Thank you. Thanks again, Lauren. Thanks everyone for being here, and share this recording with everyone. And for those of you, before we end, who want to learn more about the compensation plan, because we've had to reschedule so many, to let's see, Thursday at 11 Mountain Time, we will be having a Zoom with Chelsea, who is my account manager, and Chelsea's really good at explaining the comp plan. And so any of you who are doing the business, please join us Thursday, and that information is on the Truman Team page. Anyway, thanks for being a part of this today. Thank you for all that you're doing and for sharing. And let's go use and share this foundational health that we are so blessed to have in our lives. Thanks, y'all. Bye-bye.